There's a lot of history. You went on to serve in the 101st Airborne Division. You participated in the First Gulf War with the Screaming Eagles. You commanded a rifle company in the 325 Airborne Battalion Combat Team in Italy. One of the ways, and you were just talking backstage, I mean, and it resonates with me. You talked about being 22 years old and having 45 soldiers under your charge. One of the ways your colleagues described your leadership style is that you always made a point to listen to your fellow troops. Talk about that, and particularly that in combat.
Well, I'm glad my wife is not here to contradict you about listening.
By the way, when I sat next to her at dinner, she mentioned that. Okay.
We're off the. You know, I like to think I'm a far better listener today than I was back then, and can always do more. But I try to be an active listener and then an active questioner for anybody who's joined me in a meeting at the Pentagon. But it really is important to listen to what your people are saying and what their views are. I'm reading a book right now called The Outpost, written by Jake Tapper. It recounts the history of the Army at a particular outpost in Afghanistan. And when you read the stories about the young sergeants and officers who were trying to tell their chain of command that things weren't right or we should do this, you can see so many cases where the chain of command just simply wasn't listening. And so I think it's very important to listen and listen actively. The other thing that that I've kind of emphasized, and it seems counterintuitive, but when I took over as Secretary of the Army, I said to my folks, I do not believe in consensus. Consensus to me drives suboptimal solutions. What I want to do is when you guys send me courses of action recommendations, I want to hear the minority view. And I will tell you, there's so many times where it was just one person who spoke up in a room and said, hey, how about this? A voice that was maybe muffled in all the other iterations. And it turned out to be the best decision, the best idea put forward. So I try and listen. I try and find those people, the iconoclasts, the minorities, if you will, minority voice who isn't being heard, and hear them out to make sure that we hear all the great ideas that are coming across the organization.
Getting diverse views, super, super important.